Okay, I think we're ready to get our webinar started. So thank you to everybody who's joining us. John, if you could, there we go. And I'm going to welcome everybody who's joining in. We're going to give, people are filtering in. We're going to give a few minutes to let everybody filter in and then get the webinar started. So welcome to everybody who's joining us today. We're super excited you're here. We're hopefully you're going to learn some really great things about applying for this round of the Safe Routes to School Grants Program. We'll be sharing a lot of information and resources, so feel free to use chat. Oh, there you go. There you go. Those are your slides, right, John? Oh, you're muted.
Yep, those are mine. Crystal had the opening slide up, so I just took over now.
Okay, so at this point, do we have a bulk of the folks in, Crystal, so we could get started? I think so. Okay.
Yes, it looks like the majority of people that will be joining us are now in.
Okay, great. So on that note, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Devin Patel, who's from Department of Transportation, to give our welcome. Take it away, Devin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Devin Patel, and I work for the Department of Transportation and Division of Local Aid. Thank you for joining us today. We are very much appreciated you taking time to participate in this webinar. Today, I'm joined by my Department of Transportation colleagues, Taimur Shameli, Nicole Todd, both are from Division Office, Adam Averino from District 1 Mount Arlington Office, Deval Desai from District 3 Office, Kasha from District 4 Office. Also in attendance are Alice Bremer, William Rivera from our Bike, Ped and Safety Unit, and from our regional Metropolitan Planning Organization, Amy Jefferson from NJTPA is also in present. And Katrina from Local Aid and from Resource Center is also in attendance. I'm also joined by Lee and Von Hagen and John Dugan from NJ Safe Routes Resource Center at Rutgers University, whose mission is to partner with schools and municipalities to prioritize and implement opportunities for people to walk, bike, or travel by other wheeled device. Leanne and John will be presenting the details about 2024 Safe Route to School grant programs. Applications are being now accepted. I'll now turn over to Leanne to discuss the training overview for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody. And thank you so much, Devin, for the introduction. Today, my name is Leanne Von Hagen, and I'm the Managing Director at the Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University, which houses the New Jersey Safe Routes to School Resource Center, which is funded by the Department of Transportation, the New Jersey Department of Transportation. So before I get started, a couple of logistics. This webinar is being recorded. So what we're going to do after this webinar is done, we will post this webinar for viewing after today's session on saferoutesnj.org. In order to move today's meeting along, we'd like people to use the chat function that's at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions. As the webinar is progressing, you can put your questions in chat at any time. Contact information will be provided through this presentation to reach out to local aid staff to ask any further questions. Myself and my colleague John Dugan will be monitoring the chat to the best we can, but in addition, we have two spots in this presentation where we'll be stopping to address those the questions that you put in chat, and we'll go through the comments and make sure that your pressing questions are answered today. So the purpose of today's session is to go briefly over the federal aid programs and the specifics about the Safe Routes to School program, including a walk through the application and the grant application process. Plus, we'll give you tips and strategies and where to find helpful resources. So let's get started with a quick poll. And Crystal, if you could launch that poll, please. So with the poll, we would like to ask you, have you applied or assisted with the application for a Safe Routes to School infrastructure grant in the past? If yes, let us know if you were awarded the grant, or you have done this but not awarded the grant, or you weren't aware of the funding, or you're not sure how to get started. So that'll just give us an idea who's here today and what your experience is. And if you did put other in the poll, would love for you to add in chat what you would like to, what your experience is in the other, whether it was, I've heard about the grant and I started working on something, but something didn't work out and we never applied. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear what your experience is in chat. So I see we have about 70% of the people participating in the poll. Anybody else want to give us their experience? We'll close the poll in just a moment. All right, we're at about 80% of the people who are here today have answered the poll. And I see our biggest numbers are actually with the other, so that's really interesting. I would love to see in chat what your experience has been. And I love that there's a number of people here that they are here because they are not sure how to get started, and that is exactly why we're doing this pretty thorough webinar today, to really walk you through what's expected in the grants, who is eligible, and where we're going with tips and strategies. All right, on that note, I'm going to end the poll, share the results, and I think we can move on. Okay, so this is the timeline for the Safer to School 2024 solicitation. Some key dates to keep in mind. The New Jersey Department of Transportation mailed the solicitation letters on July 17th. This is the second of 3 application information webinars. We will go over the schedule of the webinars later in the presentation. Another opportunity for applicants will be one-on-one meetings, and you can sign up for one-on-one meetings with NJDOT Local Aid Staff to discuss your application through September 29th. So be sure to bring your design ideas and cost estimates to the meeting. For these one-on-one meetings, don't let this be the first time you're thinking about the project. And also that these one-on-one meetings are mandatory. I'm going into a little bit more about that later. This deadline, what's the most important information? The deadline, November 17th. It's anticipated grants will be awarded in 2024. Please be aware the selection process takes time and has multiple sign-offs. So do not anticipate a notification award before spring of 2024. When reviewing the funding opportunities at DOT, they're divided into state-funded program and federally funded programs. I'll talk more about state funding later in this presentation. Today, we're focusing on the Safer to School federal program, which is part of the Transportation Alternatives Program. The National Highway Trust Fund is a transportation trust fund in the United States, which receives money from a federal fuel tax. Each state in the country receives an apportionment of National Highway Trust funds. Safer to School is a subset of block grant funding from the federal government. So in New Jersey, Transportation Alternatives and Safer to School funds are separated into 2 different grant applications. Safer to School is a part of a history of federal transportation bills. We are currently under funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or IIJA. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's new in the Safer to School grant this round. With the new federal funding comes some new exciting changes. The IIJA recodified the Safer to School program and amends it to extend the program through 12th grade, enabling and encouraging high school students to walk and bike to school safely. As a result, for the first time, projects that directly facilitate improvements for high schools are now eligible under this grant round. Also changing this year, student arrival and departure tallies are no longer required as part of the application or grant process for Safer to School infrastructure grants. And the final new thing for Safer to School grant applicants, one-on-one pre-application meetings with NJDOT and the Metropolitan Planning Organizations are now mandatory. I'll discuss this requirement in a little bit. Solicitation of applications, project selection, and funding are administered jointly by the New Jersey DOT and the 3 regional Metropolitan Planning Organizations, otherwise known as MPOs. 50% of the transportation alternative set-aside funds are sub-allocated through NJDOT to the 3 MPOs. Here's an important slide to keep in mind. This is a breakdown of the number of applications, requested amount, and number of grants awarded for the past four solicitation rounds. For 2024, the programmed amount is $20 million. As you can see, this is a competitive grant process. There are always many more grant applications than funding available. Okay, I said this and I'm going to say this again, and guess what? I'll wrap up with this number too. You really got to remember this November 17th deadline, 11:59 p.m. November 17th. That's when the grants are due. There are no applications accepted post this date and time. So it's anticipated awards from this grant will be announced in the spring-ish of 2024. So keep that in mind. The next, I'm going to go over program details. So continue to use chat for any questions, and we're going to get to that shortly in our first Q&A stop. Okay, let's get to the heart of the program. So what is Safe Routes to School? I hope most of you know about this program. The Safe Routes to School program is a federal, state, and local effort that creates safer conditions for walking and bicycling. Where it's safe, we want to get more students and teens and those with disabilities walking and bicycling. Where it's not safe, we want to work to make it safe. The Safe Routes to School program also encourages students to walk and bicycle to school, fostering a healthy, active lifestyle at an early age. The objectives of the Safe Routes to School grant program are to facilitate projects that will improve safety and reduce traffic, fuel consumption, and air pollution around schools. So who's eligible to apply? The majority of applications are from municipal governments. However, counties, schools, school districts, or boards of education may also submit an application for Safe Routes to School grants. This includes public, charter, and private schools, provided that the project is in the public right-of-way. Nonprofits are highly encouraged to partner with their local agencies, such as their municipality, county, school, or school district, to help them apply for these grants. Infrastructure funds are intended to be used for projects that facilitate walking or bicycling to school. Proposals must define a complete, identifiable, and usable facility or activity. Funds are not available for partial activities that cannot function as a complete and useful whole project, or for projects that do not have an independent utility. So, what projects are eligible? Projects to encourage and enable children in grades K through 12 to walk and bicycle to school. They must be within 2 miles of a K through 12 school. They must be infrastructure projects only. For infrastructure projects, public funds must be spent on projects within the public right-of-way. This may include projects on private land that have public access easements. Public property includes lands that are owned by a public entity, including those lands owned by public school districts. For projects on private land, there must be a written legal easement or other written legally binding agreement that ensures public access to the project. Some examples of pedestrian safety projects include new and upgraded sidewalks, ADA curb ramps, which provide an accessible route that people with disabilities can use to safely transition from a roadway to a sidewalk and vice versa, crosswalk installation and striping, pedestrian crossing signs indicating when to walk and don't walk, pedestrian push buttons and signal heads, school zone delineation, including signs, striping, and lighting. This is not intended to be a comprehensive, complete list. There may be other eligible projects if they meet the objective of improving pedestrian safety access around schools. Okay, so what are some examples of bicycle safety projects? On-street bicycle lanes and shoulders, off-street bicycle paths or trails, bicycle route signs, bicycle parking, including bike parking racks and lockers. Please remember, bike parking is a really important part of Safe Routes to School projects and often lacking in proposals. Again, this list is not intended to be comprehensive. There may be other eligible projects if they meet the objective of improving bicycle safety in and around schools. Safe Routes infrastructure projects should also include traffic calming treatments and mechanisms to reduce the speed or other negative effects of motor vehicle traffic. Examples include curb extensions, center island medians, permanent radar displays, speed humps and speed tables, full and partial street closures, raised crossings, raised intersections, pavement markings that reduce travel lane widths and road diets, flashing beacons, bicycle-sensitive signal actuation devices, pedestrian countdown signals, pedestrian-activated signal upgrades, and sight distance improvements. So it's a long list, but it's a flexible list. So if you're putting forth a problem statement that says speeding is an issue, please think of these traffic calming treatments as a solution. Okay, so what's not eligible? So education and encouragement programs, which are available through free technical assistance with Safe Routes to School regional coordinators at our 8 transportation management associations through New Jersey. So education and encouragement programs not eligible. Funds cannot be used to make traffic smoother or easier for parents to drop off or pick up their children in cars at schools. The primary beneficiaries are children walking and bicycling. However, if improvements that remove motor vehicles from the school zones, like moving parking for parents to an off-school grounds location or temporary road closures in front of schools, that is eligible. Also ineligible, things like salaries, like crossing guard salaries. Okay, let's talk about some eligible costs. Only construction costs are eligible under this grant. It's important to note that costs for construction inspection services should be identified separately if funds are desired. Project costs not eligible for funding include administrative costs, miscellaneous contingencies, right-of-way, utility relocation costs, and uniform traffic directors unless required by design. Requirements of the infrastructure and grant include the following, and if any of these are not met, then applications will not be considered. First and foremost, applications must include signed and dated resolutions of support from the municipality and either a resolution or letter of support from the school board. In addition, a letter of support is needed from owners of any other right-of-way, including county roads and parks. Resolutions are not accepted after the application deadline. A maintenance commitment from the applicant. This is usually the municipality. The maintenance commitment statement can be included as part of the resolution of support. An example of a resolution of support with a maintenance commitment is available on the SafeRoutesNJ.org website and as part of the SAGE application. Applicants must identify a primary point of contact called the person of responsible charge. This person must be a full-time employee and cannot be a consultant. The project must be located within 2 miles of a K-12 school. Applicants must participate in one-on-one application meetings, which again, I'll detail a little bit further. And as a reminder, in previous grant rounds, gathering the number of students walking and biking to school through student arrival and departure tallies was part of the applications. This is no longer a requirement of this grant application. As part of the grant application process, the Department of Transportation is requiring one-on-one application meetings. This is a great opportunity to discuss your application, identify any areas of concern in order to develop a better and stronger application, and of course, to answer your questions. So my recommendation is at the end of this webinar, go directly to NJDOT Local Aid RC.com or call and email the Local Aid Resource Center to schedule your meeting today. The time slots are filling up. There are a few ground rules. Meetings will be held with the local public agency, which is AKA the applicant, not consultants. Meetings will be up to an hour. Make sure to make the best of your time and have all of your project questions, materials, and documentations prepared in advance. The more specific you can be about the prospects of your project and aspects of the application, the better. This is really, I can't stress, a fantastic opportunity to discuss the project limits, design ideas, costs, staffing needs and budget, federal requirements, and timing for implementation. So do your best to be prepared. Don't, again, make this the first time you're even thinking about this grant at your one-on-one meeting. Each application will be reviewed by a selection committee and reviewed on site by DOT staff. Applications will be evaluated using an established program criteria of a 25-point rating system. Each project will be assessed based solely on the content of the application and the attachments. The application must clearly and accurately describe the problem with quality documentation, including crash reports, photographs, maps, survey results, health statistics, crime reports, etc. One important point, your construction solution should address your problem. For example, I think I mentioned this earlier, if your problem statement in the application includes concerns about speeding drivers, but your design solutions do not include traffic calming measures, you are not really addressing the problems identified. The applicant should explain how the project has the potential to make walking or cycling to school safer, how it can increase physical activity, and the number of students walking and bicycling to school. Connectivity is also important. Applicants should describe the bigger picture of how the project connects to existing local or regional places to walk and bike, and how the applicant plans to evaluate the project, like implementing speed studies and tallies of the number of students walking and bicycling as it is included in the project schedule. The applicant's past experience with NJDOT grants also influences rating scores. Past experience in completing the federal authorization process within the allotted time frame, and if the applicant has constructed projects within the last 5 years to improve conditions for walking and bicycling, are included in the rating score. The applicant needs to create realistic project schedules and milestones and detailed construction costs that include the items like construction inspection. Please remember, these are long-term grants. Plan on the authorization process taking the full 2 years. For project selection, location is important. You can receive extra consideration if the project is located in special designated areas like a New Jersey Department of Community Affairs targeted urban municipalities, or in an opportunity zone, or within school development authority districts. It's also important to address the safety issues by identifying if railroad crossings or highway ramp crossings will be improved as part of this project. Another area of extra consideration showing a demonstrated commitment to safety. Communities and schools that show commitment to walking and bicycling by implementing various improvements or programs, or have taken steps to plan for better pedestrian bicycling facilities will receive extra consideration. This includes municipalities with adopted complete streets or complete and green streets policies, school districts with supportive walk and bike to school policy, or supportive active travel in their school wellness policy. School districts or municipalities that have been awarded New Jersey Safe Routes Recognition Program certification at the gold, silver, and bronze levels, or have completed a school or school district school travel plan or bicycle and pedestrian travel plans that include the proposed project and was completed within the last 5 years. Schools and towns that support and promote walking and biking with activities such as walk and bike to school days, walking school buses and bike trains, walk and bike to school safety programs, and bicycle rodeos or clinics. Basically, you get extra consideration the more you can show support through planning efforts and existing programs that encourage students to walk and bike. All grant applications will be reviewed for deliberate and actionable considerations of equity in underserved communities. Considerations will be given to applicants that provide additional benefits to a community or communities that identified in the following categories: Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, environmental justice communities, limited English proficiency populations, and individuals with disabilities. Census data will be used to determine if a project meets this equity criteria. The following data sets will be used: percent low income, percent minority, less than high school education, linguistic isolation, individuals under age 5 and individuals under age 18, individuals over age 64, and individuals with disabilities. As an applicant, you will not be required to show or map census data. Just know that the Department of Transportation will be looking at these factors as equity considerations as part of the review of each proposal. If you have multiple projects you're considering, choose the project located in the section of your town that has the greatest need. In your application, be sure to clearly denote the limits of your project. Okay, you may have noticed I went through the part about opportunity zones and TUMs pretty quickly. And maybe you thought, how do I find out more? One resource you can use is the Department of Community Affairs has a mapping tool that maps opportunity zones and other points of interest like libraries and more. Plus, you can print your maps to include in your application. search for the NJDCA Community Asset Map and start playing around with some data today. The list of targeted urban municipalities can also be found through the SAGE application. Okay, I know that was a lot to cover. We've got some more to get through. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, John Dugan, who will now walk you through the Safer to School infrastructure grant application. We'll stop after John's presentation for a little bit of Q&A through chat. So please continue to input your questions into chat, and we'll stop after this next section. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. Hi, everyone. I'm John Dugan with the Safe Routes Resource Center here at Rutgers University. What I'm going to do next is walk you through the online application. As Leanne mentioned, we will take a break for questions and answers after my review of the grant application. As I'm talking, please feel free to put your questions in the chat so we can make sure to get them answered. So, to apply for the Safe Routes to School grant, applicants will need to utilize SAGE, or the System for Administering Grants Electronically. Each municipality has access to SAGE. Likely the administrator of the municipality has a username and password, so check with that person first. Municipalities and counties already have an authorized official registered with access to SAGE from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. If you're a school or school district and you don't have access to SAGE, contact the NJDOT or local aid to request access. If you do not have access to SAGE and you are not representing a municipality or school district, you can apply as a new user online through the NJDOT website. Helpful links are located on the SAGE homepage if you need additional help. Or, once again, contact NJDOT Local Aid Resource Center for more in-depth concerns. You can start a SAGE application at any time and update and edit it as needed. Now I'm going to walk you through the application screens on SAGE. Once you log into SAGE, you will see the program requirements for the Safe Routes to School grant. And here they are. 5 requirements are: number 1, resolutions and letter of support; number 2, maintenance commitment; number 3, responsible charge; number 4, distance to schools; number 5, completion of a one-on-one application meeting. What I'm going to do now is go through each of these requirements in detail. If any of these requirements are not met, unfortunately, the project and the application will be considered ineligible. Each application must include as attachments board-approved resolutions of support from the governing body applying for the grant. Resolutions of support are required as they demonstrate compliance with federal regulations, allowing an opportunity for public participation and community input. The resolutions further demonstrate there is a formal local stakeholder support of the proposed improvements. Resolutions must be dated within 1 year of the solicitation letter, which was July 17, 2023. The resolution must be signed, providing evidence of board action of adopting the resolution. Unsigned resolutions will not be accepted, and the resolution must refer to the project itself. Letters signed by the mayor, county freeholder, or executive director of the organization or resolutions of support are required from the participating school board or board of education and the owner of the public right-of-way in which the project is to be located. Usually this is the municipality or the county. In addition, if the ownership of the public right-of-way where the project is proposed is different than the applicant, they must show support for the project in the form of a letter or an approved resolution. If the applicant is a private school, a letter signed by the executive director may be attached in lieu of that resolution. If a project is on a state road, there will be no resolution of support needed from the NJDOT. You will need to coordinate with the appropriate regional NJDOT office to receive the necessary highway occupancy permit approvals prior to federal authorization of construction. As with the governing body, the letters and resolutions of support must be signed, passed, and dated within 1 year of the solicitation letter, which again was July 17th of this year. Be sure the project is referred to in the letter of resolution. Sample resolutions of support can be found on our website, saferoutesnj.org/funding. Number 2, the second program commitment is maintenance commitment. The applicant must indicate and certify continual ownership and maintenance of the life of the project. If the applicant does not have jurisdiction over the right-of-way where the project is proposed, then a signed letter or board-approved resolution must be provided. These must also be signed and dated within 1 year of the solicitation date, once again, which was July 17th. Unsigned letters and resolutions will not be accepted. The letter must be addressed to the applicant, not to NJDOT, and refer to your project. Here's a sample of a resolution which includes both support of the project from the municipality, which is requirement number 1, and maintenance commitment to the project, which is requirement number 2. This sample is embedded within the SAGE application for ease of use and is also available once again on our website, saferoutesnj.org/funding. If the applicant does not have jurisdiction over the right-of-way where the project is proposed, then a signed letter or board-approved resolution must be provided by the party with the jurisdiction and can also be combined into one letter showing support and maintenance commitment. Applicants must provide a full-time employee as responsible charge of your project, which is requirement number 3. The person must be a full-time employee of the applicant. The name, title, and employer of the person who will be in responsible charge of the project is also required. Consultants are not eligible to serve as a responsible charge. The responsible charge is accountable for the project and is expected to perform duties and functions following federal requirements and day-to-day operations such as administering project activities, including cost, time, adherence to contract requirements, quality, and scope, maintaining familiarity of day-to-day project operations, including project safety issues, participating in decisions about changes in conditions or scope, reviewing the project financial processes, transactions, and documentations, and directing project staff, agency, or consultant to carry out the project. Requirement number 4 is Requirement number 4 is the project must be within 2 miles of a K-12 school. The application must include and attach a map showing the location of the schools involved and the proposed improvements of the project, indicating the distance between them. Applications for projects benefiting students in grades 9 through 12 are now eligible. The NJDOT Local Aid Resource Center has a mapmaker tool to use in your applications to identify the project limits. The last requirement is one-on-one grant application meetings. To apply for Safe Routes to School funds, applicants must attend a one-on-one pre-application meeting with NJDOT Local Aid. You'll indicate in the application whether or not you have scheduled and attended your one-on-one pre-application meeting and provide the date of this meeting. The next section of the application is to indicate the type of improvement, picking the infrastructure and engineering project that best represents your project. Bikeways include both on and off-road bike paths, bike lane routes, and parking. Pedestrian safety includes sidewalks, ADA curb ramps, pedestrian crossing signs, pedestrian push buttons, and signal heads, or pedestrian safety and bikeways, including school zone delineation, driver feedback signs, and traffic calming. Then you'll need to name the title of the project up to 100 characters, which includes spaces, and choose the county and municipality where the project is located. The next section of the SAGE application includes providing K-12 school information for each school that is participating in or will benefit from the project. Please provide the contact information for the designated lead coordinator from each school included in this project. And if the school is part of a shared school district, indicate yes or no, and if yes, select the municipalities. Indicate the grade levels at each school and number of students. Enter the estimated number or percentage of students who currently walk to school, bike to school, ride the bus, get dropped off, or other. Please indicate the source of this travel information. If student arrival and departure tallies were completed, indicate that. Enter the number of students living within 2 miles of the school and number of additional students expected to walk or bike to school because of this project. Indicate whether courtesy or hazard busing is currently provided. Indicate whether the school is part of a schools development authority district and located within a targeted urban municipality. Lists are provided for both, as links within the SAGE and once again on our website, saferoutesnj.org website. The next section of the Safe Routes to School grant application is demonstrated commitment. Many New Jersey municipalities and schools have been recognized by the NJ Safe Routes to School program for their commitment to and support of the Safe Routes to School program. Has your community been certified with either bronze, silver, or gold recognition level status within the last 2 years? Indicate yes or no, and if yes, attach the recognition certificate or press release. The current list is available once again on our website, saferoutesnj.org. A school travel plan helps to create safer routes for pedestrian and bicycle travel by identifying key contacts and team members, problem areas, and proposing solutions. A Safe Routes to School travel plan guide was created to provide example format and content and is available through a link on Sage and also, once again, on saferoutesnj.org. Has the need for the project been identified in a school travel plan within the last 5 years? Indicate yes or no, and if yes, please attach the relevant pages from that school travel plan. Does the school or schools to be served by the proposed district have a written policy supporting walking and bicycling to school? Indicate yes or no, and if yes, attach the policy and or handbook and indicate relevant pages. Adopting policy is a mandated function of the school board, and they establish direction for the district and its school and set expectations consistent district-wide. Adopting a school policy of either bicycling or walking policy standardizes the transportation safety rules for the district and shows support for safe routes to school and for students walking and biking to and from school. Has the school district adopted a school wellness policy that encourages walking and bicycling to school? Indicate yes or no, and if yes, attach the policy and indicate relevant pages. The model school wellness policy with Safe Routes to School program encouragement are also available on our website. Once again, saferoutesnj.org. Okay, continuing on to the demonstrated commitment section. If the municipality has adopted a complete streets policy, once again, choose yes or no, and if yes, attach that policy. Additional consideration will be given to communities and schools that have shown a commitment to walking and bicycling by implementing various improvements or programs and or have taken steps to plan for better pedestrian and bicycling facilities. Have the school or schools, municipality, or other partners initiated or participated in any programs to encourage or support walking and bicycling to school? Yes or no? If yes, provide a description and date up to 2,500 characters. Be sure to emphasize recently implemented programs within 2 years and describe programs clearly. Were they walk and bike to school day? Was it a bike rodeo? Was it a bike train? Have the schools or school, municipality, or other partners constructed any physical improvements that encourage walking and biking to school? Once again, yes or no. If yes, provide a description and date up to 2,500 characters. Similarly, please emphasize recently implemented improvements that encourage walking and bicycling to school, warning signs, sidewalks, bike racks, etc., or any improvements that are in process, including those funds or to be funded under this program. Also, does the proposed project connect to a regional bicycle or pedestrian network? Yes or no. The network should connect the project to a neighborhood, park, library, or other location of interest to students. If yes, attach and show a map. The next section of the grant application is the problem statement. Describe the obstacles, either physical or other, to walking or bicycling to school. You have up to 2,500 characters for that. Describe the current hazards facing students who can walk or bike to school. Once again, up to 2,500 characters. You are encouraged to reference supporting documentation such as maps, history of traffic problems, accident reports, traffic counts, speed surveys, health statistics, crime reports, photos of deficiencies, walkability audits, census information, and survey results. The next section of the application is problem documentation. Attach a location map showing up to a 2-mile radius of the school or schools and label the school site or sites and problem areas. You will be able to attach up to 10 photographs of problem areas. Maps, photographs, and other data which provide evidence of the severity of the problem may also be uploaded to Sage. Attach up to 10 additional files, including crash data, accident reports, maps, survey results, health statistics, crime statistics or reports, speed surveys, walkability audits, census reports, etc., which provide evidence of the severity of the problem. The project proposal section of the application prompts you to enter the project limits from and up to 100 characters each. Describe the project in summary, indicating the school or schools at which the project will take place, and you have up to 2,500 characters for that. Be sure to indicate the schools that benefit from the project and explain how the project will create a safer walking and or bicycling environment or encourage more children to walk or bike to school. Discuss how many children will benefit from the project and whether it targets one neighborhood or the entire school community. Explain how the project will create a safe walking or bicycling environment. You have up to 2,500 characters. Explain how the project will enable and encourage more children to walk or bike to school. You also have up to 2,500 characters to do so. Indicate the distance from the school. Keep in mind, this must be within 2 miles. Show on a street location map the proposed infrastructure improvements, school location, and walking and bicycling routes. Provide information about the location of the projects and show the location on a map, which once again must be within 2 miles of the school. Indicate whether the project is on a walking or bicycling route to school and illustrate the relationship between the school and the project on the map. Within the schedule section of the application, attach a project schedule from start to finish in a table or list format. Indicate progress milestones such as easement acquisitions, right-of-way, permits, utility relocations if needed, environmental and historical preservation approvals, bid, advertise, award, and start of construction. By the number of months from written authorization to proceed to project completion and evaluation of results. Projects must receive federal authorization within 2 years of the date that the grant awardee is notified of the project selection. If the project is not authorized within 2 years of the project, the grant will be rescinded and the applicant will have to reapply. The Safe Routes to School program will not reimburse applicants for any expenses incurred prior to federal authorization. Continuing onto the schedule, you will be asked a series of yes or no questions with about 500 characters to answer each one. Is utility or road work planned within the project limit over the next 5 years? Does the project require utility relocation? Are permits required? And is the purchase of right-of-way required before start of construction? If yes, for any of these, you have up to 500 characters to explain. Does the project intersect a state highway, yes or no? If yes, which highways? Highway or highways, 500 characters. And also, if yes, is the intersection signalized? Is there a railroad crossing or highway ramp that will be improved as part of the project? Yes or no? Once again, if yes, you have up to 500 characters to explain. Will the construction impact traffic at a railroad crossing outside project limits? Yes or no? The next section of the application is the cost estimate. The federal aid Safe Routes to School program funds infrastructure and engineering projects for construction only. Note that all projects must be within the jurisdiction of the funding recipient. For construction costs, please provide a length of proposed improvement, bikeway miles, pedestrian miles, etc., and include full-time construction inspection costs if applicable. The budget should include the costs, if any, associated with evaluating the results of the project, and applicants are encouraged to utilize their own funds from other sources to pay for the cost of environmental documentation, design, and all other soft costs. A detailed cost estimate of the materials and tasks needed to accomplish the activities for which the Safe Routes to School funds are being sought must be presented as an attachment to the application. The federal funds for Safe Routes to School projects are provided to grantees on a reimbursement basis only. Please enter the amount of construction costs and attach a detailed cost estimate. Indicate the total project cost and the total amount requested for this grant application. The partnership and public outreach section will allow you to attach up to 5 letters of support from community organizations, residents, groups, committees, business associations, and other interested parties. Be sure to ask partners to address their letters of support of your project to the applicant, not the NJDOT. Letters must also be signed and dated within 1 year of the solicitation date, which was July 17th. The next section of the application is evaluation. Describe how the results of the project will be measured up to 2,500 characters. At a minimum, grant recipients will be required to record the number and type of improvements installed and the results of pre- and post-project surveys on how students travel to and from school. Describe how the safety and/or health benefits of the project will be evaluated using at least one of the measures. Potential measures may include increase in the number of children walking or bicycling to school, changes in public or student perception of safety, that this would be through a survey, increased awareness of safety walking and bicycling behaviors, increased awareness of safe driving behaviors, reduction in speed limit violations, reduction in failure to stop for pedestrians, reduction in crashes involving bicyclists and pedestrians, decrease in motor vehicle traffic and around arrival and dismissal times, improvement in crime statistics around the school, and improvement in health statistics for K to 12 students. At this point, we'd like to stop and address any chat questions. I see the little red bubble has 21, so hopefully we got some questions in there. The Q&A, just also thank you for your time, and we're gonna do Q&A for a minute.
Yes, thanks, John, so much.
Sure.
I'm going to start with a few that were in chat, and although I know there was a lot of back and forth on some of the answers, but just to make sure everybody's who may not be monitoring chat, there was a lot in there. So I'm going to start with I think a question about can you include a leading pedestrian interval, which is also known as a LPI. It's a type of pedestrian signal as part of your grant application. And wholeheartedly, yes. And Amy, if you popped on and want to answer anything about LPI, one of the things I know we in the transportation world do like to see is when applicants include what's called FHWA proven safety countermeasures, and the leading pedestrian interval is a proven safety countermeasure. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Amy, about that.
No, I think you
Okay.
I think you covered it. It's just
Okay.
popping on.
I'm going to give you in the next section some resources on how to find proven safety countermeasures. So hang tight. And the other question was providing health stats. And in the slide before this, John mentioned that as part of evaluation, health stats are something you can add as part of your evaluation. If you feel it's something that could be part of your problem statement, that also could be part of your problem statement. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add on that.
Or the documentation area. That's a pretty flexible area as well.
Good point. Good point. By the way, Amy Jefferson is from one of our NPOs in New Jersey, the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. She's also one of the people who from NJTPA who looks at and reviews applications. So thank you so much, Amy. One of the next questions was about school travel plans, and there was some back and forth in the chat about school travel plans. As part of what role do school travel plans play in the selection process? Should applicants have a school travel plan in place to base the application on? I'll just jump in first, and anybody can join in. You don't have to have a school travel plan. It gets you extra consideration in your application. It gets you extra points. However, they are a really good way to identify priorities in your community. When a school travel plan is done well and includes a public engagement process that even includes students, parents, teachers, who help to prioritize what's the most pressing transportation concern, travel concern for students walking and biking. And then, showing that you've done that public engagement really strengthens your application. To show that everybody's on board with whatever infrastructure you're making changes to. It's a really great way to do that. We also have resources not only on the SafeRoutesNJ.org website, but through our regional transportation management associations to help you do these school travel plans. They do take a little bit, so it's not necessarily something you can throw together in a couple days. So it's again something you want to plan to do and incorporate it into your Safer to School application if you can.
Yeah, I'd also say with the school travel plans, they're sometimes they'll have like very specific recommendations in there to do too. They'll have like little concepts drawn out and like identified areas that could be improved, so it's very helpful. They're all different. Well, not all different, but there's a lot of differences between them. So take a look, see if your school has one or your town has one, and it's a good place to kind of draw some ideas on for the application.
Absolutely. In the chat, there were some questions about the SAGE application. We do have a location of the newer grant SAGE application, although I did hear that maybe it's still missing a few pieces, so we may have to update that in our resources. If we do update it, I'll ask if you can subscribe to the Safe Routes newsletter. We'll update some if there's new updated resources information there. Let's see. The resolution of support. Really good question. There was a question about, can you get like a letter from your mayor instead of a resolution of support? It was answered in chat, but I just want to reiterate. The requirement is a council resolution. It can't just be a letter. It needs to be a full council resolution. So if you have not started, that is a task to start today. Council resolutions do take some time, and you must have it signed and dated and uploaded into the grant application before the November 17th deadline. Signed, even if they're signed and dated, resolutions will not be accepted after the grant application deadline. So, so please keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to schools and school districts, it doesn't work the same way exactly with school boards. If they do resolutions, you can upload that resolution as well, but mostly school districts, that's the letter we're talking about. So it's only because they're a slightly different type of government organization. And just keep in mind, the reason for the having a resolution is it also is partly, it includes a chance for the public to engage in the application before you submit. So, it's really helpful for the department and everybody looking at applications to know that you've gone through some sort of public engagement process, to know that the public is for the infrastructure plans that you're putting forth. Let's see.
Other places where we can see that there's been public engagement processes, if there's like the municipal planning documents or maybe a county regional plan, that shows that there's been more thought put into the recommendation, if that exists. So that's another option that you can submit. That's another kind of documentation you could submit.
All right. Paul has a really great question about school travel plans that were created that are a little older than 5 years, like within the past 10 years. Are they still helpful anyway? I think yes. Often these school travel plans have multiple recommendations. However, what we do see often happening with, you've got a school travel plan that's older than 5 years, is to do a sort of a quick update to it, to use it as your base. If you're familiar with how municipalities do, master plans, sometimes they do an update to just make sure everything's still good. That way, if there has been improvements made within the past 10 years, those are included. And if there's new concerns within the last 5 years, you can include those too. So you can do a briefer update to your travel plan than sort of starting from scratch again. And that we've seen those submitted as their original school travel plan with a brief update as well. So what constitutes an official school travel plan? There is information through the SAGE application and on the SafeRoutesNJ.org website about the requirements for a school travel plan. There's some background information about just how many schools, are you doing the full district, are you doing it individual schools or a group of schools, what students they have. But what really is helpful in school travel plans is some of the best school travel plans include doing a walkability audit, going around your schools, including your students and your teachers and your parents in that audit to identify the concerns, and really ranking and prioritizing what's most important for that neighborhood for infrastructure improvements. That's a key piece of the school travel plans. So in that respect, they do take some time. But I'm going to give you some information about reaching out to your Regional Transportation Management Association and their Safe Routes to School coordinators. If you don't have a school travel plan and are interested, that's who you should start with first, is find out who your Regional Safe Routes to School coordinator is and reach out to them today to talk about what are possibilities. No promises that they can get things done before the November 17th deadline, but they could still get something done so that you can be eligible in future grant rounds. Or have it for future grant rounds. It's not an eligibility. They're not required as part of the application. They just give you extra points. What can temporary street closures expenses be considered in infrastructure projects? So yes, to an extent. What you're not going to be able to include in these applications is reoccurring costs like salaries. A lot of times temporary street closures include some sort of crossing guard or police presence. Depending on, the street you're talking about. It's a very local situation type of occurrence. Anything that's a reoccurring cost like salaries is not eligible. But if you need some infrastructure to help do your temporary street closures that you would have at the beginning and the end of the school days, that, to my understanding, is eligible cost. But you have your one-on-one meetings coming up. Please schedule them today. They are mandatory. Another excellent question to bring to your one-on-one meetings and discuss with the Local Aid Resource Center, the Local Aid Department, and the MPOs. How much detail is required for individual projects? For instance, would we need to say the specific size and dimensions of bump outs, or is it just location? It's a really good question. And again, another great question to bring to your one-on-one meetings. The more you have specifics about that, the better, but you don't necessarily have to have every piece of information. This is really a proposal. If you have the number of bump outs and a general idea of size and dimensions, that's what you're going to want to base your budget off of. So to some extent, you will want to identify them. But there is going to be some time, if you are chosen for funding, there's going to be a few years of going back and forth on the actual designs. And actually even construction design might be part of something you apply for if you are awarded funding. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, so I don't want to get too much into it in the Q&A now. Public Information Center, is that required for Safe Routes to School? I don't know if there's somebody from DOT who can answer that one. I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
As far as I know, Leanne, I don't think we need a PIC for this. PIC is the public, I think this is in reference to what we call earlier, that it's a buy-in process that township or the community knows that this project is coming forth. So I think this question is related to that. So I don't think PIC is required before this, because PIC is part of a CD process or whatnot, or FT. But this one is just an application process. So no, as if you don't need a PIC for this Safe Route to School.
Yeah, not for the application process.
Not the application process. No.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So a great point was put up about having safety, bicycle and pedestrian safety presentations, or Street Smart New Jersey pedestrian safety program activities. Are they things that would be helpful to include in your applications? Absolutely. It shows commitment and support to this topic. I would say absolutely. If you've done a Street Smart program through the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, absolutely include that in your application. What percentage of students with disabilities does the application process provide extra consideration? So I don't think there's an actual hard number for that. It's that when the equity considerations, they're going to look at things like percent of population with disabilities. And I don't think it goes to the actual student level. It's more on the census block level. And it's just to get an idea of where the greatest need is, so that because there is a requirement from the federal government, and it's a good thing that New Jersey is striving to do, to make sure that money like this goes to the greatest areas of greatest need. So, okay, I think some more questions were answered. I think at this point we should just move on so we can get to the rest of the presentation. There's just a little bit more to go through. So I will take it from here. And just know if we didn't get to your question or didn't quite answer it the way you were hoping, there's another answer. There's another Q&A at the end of the presentation. So stick around, and you know, if we didn't quite answer your question, please feel free to put it back in chat, and we'll try to clarify. Okay. So for this next session, I'm going to talk about the grant application process. For a look at the bigger picture, there are 5 stages to the federal grant process. Currently, this is stage 1, or the pre-award stage, where New Jersey DOT is soliciting grant applications. Following this stage are the award notification stage, where those who are awarded contracts set up a kickoff meeting with the Department of Transportation. Next is the authorization stage, where after the Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway review all final documents, you will receive written authorization to proceed and be able to start spending funds. Then the implementation stage, where you perform grant requirements, submit reports, and request and receive payments. And finally, the closeout stage, which finalizes the contract after all aspects of the project are complete. So be aware, the completion of all 5 stages will take several years. However, projects must receive authorization or the completion of stage 3 within 2 years of notification of project selection. This includes demonstration that the necessary permits, approvals, and environmental clearances will be obtained within this time period. Okay, some things to keep in mind as you consider applying for these funds. First, completing the authorization process, or stage 3, is necessary prior to funds distribution. Any money spent prior to receiving the official go-ahead, written go-ahead from the Federal Highway Administration will not be reimbursed. Second, funds are provided on a reimbursement basis. This means you will need to spend money upfront, present invoices for the money spent before you're reimbursed. Be sure you budget accordingly. Finally, all applicable federal laws and regulations must be followed. Make sure you have the capacity to manage federal funds. However, we are extremely lucky in New Jersey, because by federal law, this grant requires a 20% match. However, in New Jersey, the Department of Transportation covers that 20% match with state funds. Thus, no additional match will be required for the grant applicant. Good news. One of the opportunities within the Safe Routes to School program is the Design Assistance Program. This will be available for all 2024 Safe Routes to School program grant recipients. The Design Assistance Program makes available consultant engineering services to assist with the development of plans, specifications, and estimates for the projects. NJDOT will establish a pool of engineering design consultants through a quality-based selection process. This purpose of the pre-qualified consultant pool is to aid in the project delivery process by reducing the time required to procure professional services and ensure the consultant selection process is compliant with federal regulations. Use of the consultant pool is not mandatory, but it is encouraged in order to shorten design time, reduce costs, and improve quality and delivery. There are several steps to selecting a consultant and negotiating services as part of the design assistance process. Just know that if you choose to use the design assistance services, New Jersey DOT will hold a specific meeting to discuss the pool of consultants and the full process with you if you are selected as a grant recipient. Okay, let's finish with a few tips and strategies. So continue to add your questions to chat. First and foremost, make sure you review all New Jersey DOT grant application guidance materials. There are a number of resources at NJDOT Local Aid RC.com. Place close attention to content in the Safe Routes to School handbook. With this Safe Routes to School handbook, dog ear it, highlight it, make this handbook your friend. All of what we presented today and more is in this handbook. Make sure you download the current version for the solicitation for 2024. And there's a little arrow on this slide to show you where to go. Make sure to include all 5 application requirements. For resolutions, do not upload a blank resolution that is not signed and dated. Unsigned letters of resolutions will not be accepted. And sadly, this is a common mistake. Work early to get applications from all affected parties, town councils and school boards, and the county if applicable. Resolutions take time. It's best to handle them early. Use the sample resolution and maintenance commitments that's available as part of the SAGE application and also on our Safe Routes website. Resolutions must refer to the project for which the funds are being sought and be passed within the last year. Make sure the letters of support are addressed to the applicant, not to NJDOT. The other important thing, identify your person of responsible charge early. This person of responsible charge is a federal requirement. The responsible charge does not need to be an engineer, but they must be a full-time employee of the applicant. Consultant engineers providing engineering services or functioning as the local agency engineer of record are not eligible to serve as the responsible charge. NJDOT understands not all municipalities have full-time employees, so if this is a concern, this is really important that you reach out to set up your one-on-one meeting as soon as possible to discuss other options like co-sponsorships and partnerships. And once again, student arrival departure tallies will no longer be required as part of the application submission. Another tip, show you are serious about the safety. There are a lot of great design manuals for improving safety for people walking and bicycling. These are manuals you should use. Address your ability to administer federal aid projects and prepare accordingly. After listening to today's presentation, it may feel like this grant is a bit daunting. And the reality is, if you don't have the capacity, it is daunting. There are resources and technical assistance available to help you with your application, which I'll go into, but be sure to know the ins and outs of spending federal funds before making this commitment. Projects will be stronger if strong partnerships and agreements already exist between the school district and municipality or nonprofit organizations with ties to the community and schools. If multiple schools are impacted, that makes the case stronger. However, bigger projects should be divided into phases. Only one grant application is allowed per applicant. Another tip, be thorough. Ratings are based on the content of your application. Do not assume raters know the project or the location. Include the details and documentation necessary to make sure a person reading the application gets the full picture of your concern. Your application must stand on its own. And New Jersey DOT spot checks the projects, meaning they will go in person to field check what the limits of your application proposal are. Include photos and maps identifying issues and safety concerns. Use photos to highlight your safety issues and problems. Include people in your photos to show your safety story and why your project is needed. Indicate construction readiness. Include statutes of permits, the right-of-way, and utility relocations. Include all costs of the projects, including construction inspection, and indicate any additional funding sources. Ensure costs are current and comprehensive. One of the resources we do provide is a current cost estimate guide, which can be found with the other application resources on the saferoutesnj.org website. Include maps that provide context and connections and attractions. Maps should indicate project location within the larger area, project limits with new construction. The limits may indicate either milepost or the streets or intersections from the borders of the project. For instance, from Main Street to Broad Street. If applicable, indicate the length of the proposed improvement. Attractions like places people would like to walk and bike for food and entertainment, historic landmarks, and transit are also helpful along with the school locations. Lastly, maps don't have to be computer generated. You can highlight a paper map and scan it. You can also do screenshots from Google Maps. One of the best things you can do is include good pictures of your proposed project. In the application, you can include up to 10 photos, but I've seen applications where multiple photos are part of one PDF document that provides description, need, and context to the project. In other words, use photos to tell your project story. When taking photos, make sure they adequately show the issues. If you have a safety concern, make sure you capture those concerns in your photos. A photo of an empty street that doesn't fully capture the safety issues is not as helpful to reviewers. Also, don't include photos that are too close up, provide no real context. Use people, feet, and other ways to provide scale in your pictures. Remember, not all the applicant reviewers will be part of the fieldwork review. Give them the context they need to properly assess your project. Lastly, a few don'ts to add to your list. These are mistakes past applicants have made, so please don't make these mistakes. Don't submit a completed or partially completed project. Don't propose a project on a county road without consulting the county. Don't propose something that goes against current design standards. Projects must comply with all ADA standards. Don't propose a sidewalk without accompanying safe street crossings. And don't propose a project in a neighborhood where residents have protested against it. Projects that can show community support receive higher ratings. And think about costs. This grant, federal grants, are for bigger projects. Do not apply for a federal grant if total costs are under $350,000. I was told this morning that they're looking between $350,000 to about $1 million. So keep that in mind. All right, we're almost done. So for the final stretch, I'll give you some important resources for next steps. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with DOT state-funded programs. The state's Transportation Trust Fund provides $400 million in state aid to municipalities and counties for local transportation improvements. Every year, the New Jersey Department of Transportation issues a solicitation announcement to municipalities, inviting them to apply for funds for their specific project needs. Applicants receive points based on various criteria, including existing conditions, safety improvements, and access to public services. Other important criteria include the municipality's special designation, whether the municipality has received an allotment within the last 3 years, and the municipality's award and closeout performance on previously awarded grants. An extra point is given to towns with a complete streets or complete and green streets policy. As a new requirement or recently new requirement, applicants applying for state-funded programs will be required to use the new Project Management Reporting System, or PMRS, to submit resolutions. The new system shifts most project management, accounting, and contracting to other functions to an automated system. So training on this new project management system is available through the Local Aid Resource Center under the tab Resources. The New Jersey Transportation Infrastructure Bank is an independent state financing authority responsible for providing and administrating low interest rate loans to qualified municipalities, county, and regional authorities for the purpose of financing transportation quality infrastructure projects. Currently, the loan rate is 2.6%. So you can go to the Transportation Infrastructure Bank website for updates to interest rates and make an appointment with their staff to discuss your project, which is njib.gov/njtib. If you're thinking about your projects and realizing you may need some help with creating larger bicycle pedestrian plans, keep in mind the New Jersey Bureau of Safety Bicycle and the New Jersey DOT Bureau of Safety Bicycle and Pedestrian Programs offers planning technical assistance through their local technical assistance program. To date, the office has funded plans, or the Bureau has funded plans in over 100 towns through their on-call consultant program. On-call consultants are paired with your town to create the processes and plans to improve conditions for walking and bicycling. If you're interested in learning more, there's a website through the Department of Transportation at nj.gov/transportation/commuter. But also here, our good friend William Revere said, put my email address on your slide, have people email me directly for more information. So I'm sure he's always happy to answer your questions. There are many recent resources that can help guide municipalities on policy and design that address walking and bicycling, including several guides that are specific to New Jersey. For example, the New Jersey Department of Transportation's Complete Streets Design Guide, the Complete and Green Streets Model Policy and Guide, and one of the more newer releases, the Planning for Greenways Guidebook, are excellent resources. In addition, there is the New Jersey School Zone Design Guide for more specific school zone safety designs, and School Bike Parking Guide, which is not only helpful for bike parking information for schools, but locations throughout the municipalities. These are just a few resources. Your county and MPOs may have more. Show your commitment to safety. This is more than some new road striping and a few signs and maybe, an improved sidewalk. Consider designs that will make a real impact on the safety of people walking and bicycling. The key is all environmental and engineering plans and specifications shall conform to engineering standards and must be prepared by a professional engineer licensed to practice in New Jersey. I mentioned this a little earlier. Another great resource, FHWA's Proven Safety Countermeasures, which are evidence-based treatments and strategies that practitioners can implement to successfully address crashes to achieve safety goals. So this is through the federal government on FHWA.gov. You can just quickly Google it. Excellent and easy to navigate website that shows specific countermeasures for walking and biking. Another resource, I've mentioned this several times, the New Jersey DOT Local Aid Resource Center was created to assist each community with project planning, grant applications, project delivery, and guidance through the federal process and more. This is always a great place to start with DOT grant information, and there is a help desk for questions and a website with a variety of information and resources. And I've mentioned it before, the website's NJDOT So please consider the Local Aid Resource Center as your information hub for all NJDOT grants. It's a source of valuable information delivered in a variety of formats, accessible on multiple platforms. So take a look today if you haven't been there. You can also still find resources on New Jersey DOT's Local Aid and Economic Development website, on the official DOT website, including access to SAGE to start your application. The DOT's Division of Local Aid and Economic Development is divided into 4 districts plus staff at NJDOT's headquarters at the main office. Your local district representative will manage grants selected to receive funding. One of the best resources is free technical assistance. New Jersey has 8 regional transportation management associations that cover all 21 counties in the state. Staff within these associations are available to help with several walking and bicycling initiatives, including safe routes to school programs, completing school travel plans, and student travel tallies, and walk assessments and audits, and more, and assistance on adopting complete and green streets policy. So they're a great resource. You can find them at saferoutesnj.org to find your local coordinator. Some more resources. I think I've mentioned some of these. I'll just quickly go through. We have an estimating improvement costs, engineering and design solutions, examples of school wellness policies, and resolutions of support. So check out our website at the saferoutesnj.org for the Safe Routes Resource Center. If you are in the MPO area, that's for Mercer, Burlington, and Camden, and Gloucester County, which is called the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, they recently launched a regional sidewalk inventory that maps every sidewalk, curb ramp, and crosswalk in the greater Philadelphia region. The Sidewalk Gap Analysis Explorer helps communities around the region prioritize the pedestrian improvements that will make the greatest impact. It's an interactive map that can help you understand how your Safe Routes to School project will improve pedestrian connectivity in your community. Another great resource if you're in those counties. The Federal Highway Administration also has a page with a lot of resources on it. It's called Federal Aid Essentials for Local Public Agencies. It offers a library of videos and resources that address complex regulations and the requirements of federal highway programs, but they do boil it down to easy to understand concepts and illustrated examples. Our sister organization at Rutgers, the Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation, which is also called CATE, offers webinars that are certified for continuing education credits for several professional organizations and cover a myriad of topics that are important when you're looking at implementing these grants, including grant management for federal aid projects, federal aid responsible charge training, crash analysis tool, and more. As a reminder, there are 3 webinars you can register. This is number 2 of 3. There's only one more webinar left. That's on Wednesday, October 4th. It is a repeat of what we've done today. You can actually go back and see the recorded version from August 10th. It's on our saferoutesnj.org website and on NJDOT Local Aid RC.com. Whew, that's it for me. Another reminder about key dates. Be sure to schedule your one-on-one appointment today at NJDOT and start now to make it to your November 17th date. I know it seems like it's a far away, but there's a lot of pieces to address in this grant application, so it's never too early to start. Okay, this is our final Q&A part, and I don't know, John, have you been able to monitor Q&A and get us started?
I haven't looked at it. I've been running the slides, but I will look at it right now and let you know what we have up there.
Okay. I see one quickly. Have the TMA zones changed recently? They have not. So hopefully I'll put in chat the location where you can click on a map to access your local TMA regional coordinator to help you with your Safe School program. So I'm just taking this now and putting it into chat.
And the map actually might look a little different. A few of the TMAs have changed logos or names, so if that might be why that's coming up. If you saw that map in the slides and it looked a little different, that could be why.
Yeah. So there's a TMA locator on the page I put in chat. So it's again off of our Safe Routes Resource Center website, and you should be able to find your local TMA to contact today. Any other questions? Okay, it was pointed out to me that in the pre-application meetings, the cost they're saying a range of costs for your Safe Routes to School grant application is $350,000 to $1.5 million. So if you have any questions about how to best phase your project, and keep in mind this is a cost reimbursement program, so you may want to keep that in mind when you're thinking about what type of project you're moving forward. But just keep in mind these are larger projects. You don't want to do, if you need to, if you're thinking of one location but realizing it's not going to hit that 350 mark, but you want to do more locations, you can do multiple locations within your municipality or school district. So think about that if you want to focus on more than just say one intersection or corridor. That is something you can put into your application. So I think we're good. We don't have to go to 1:30 if nobody else has any questions. So at this point,
Leanne, one
yeah,
question. I think there is one from Steve about maintenance language.
Oh, great. I'm sorry, I missed it. Thank you. Go ahead. For the maintenance language, if the town is applying and will be handling the project, but it's in a county right away, can the maintenance language be removed from the town resolution and included in the counties? I do like that question. Now, maybe somebody can correct me and wants to chime in, but it's my understanding that the counties are going to want the municipalities to do the maintenance as well. I'm not sure. There may be difference depending on which of the 21 counties you're talking about. That would be a conversation you'll need to have in your county. But most counties I'm aware of also ask the municipalities to include the maintenance.
And that's what my understanding is too, Leanne. So, yeah, as per your slides, I think you should consider or contact with your county before you apply and see if they are on board, and then talk to them about maintenance contract, because I'm pretty much sure that it will fall on municipality.
Great, I love that. We will maybe make a quick edit before our final presentation to add that in, that you want to contact your county if you're touching a county road before you really even get too far down the line, because the county, if you're proposing something either along or crossing a county road, they're going to need to have their input, and that's going to need to be a discussion. All right, is there any other questions I may have missed?
Yes, there is a follow-up question from Steve again, the last one.
If by chance they do say yes, will the town's resolution be accepted without language as long as one resolution includes it? I think you should bring that question to your one-on-one meeting. Chances are even if it's entirely along a county road, there still may be some local maintenance, even if it's your municipality is handing that maintenance over to the property owner. So I will encourage you to bring that question to the one-on-one meeting, and if anybody else has that question. But chances are, even if you're looking at an entire county road corridor, there'll be some local maintenance needed that may not be a municipality's responsibility per se, but the municipality will be in charge of contacting the local property owner to make sure parts of that walking route or bicycling route are maintained. For example, tree coverage and, things that might impact sidewalk upheaval and that kind of maintenance that might fall to the property owner, that still isn't necessarily going to be in the county right of way. Does that help? All right. Thank you, Devin. Is there any other questions I may have missed? Sorry for missing that in the while scrolling through chat.
No, looks good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Devin, I'll turn it back over to you for any closing words of wisdoms or comments, and I will say good luck to everybody. I really hope this has helped you with your application. I know it does seem like a lot. We do not disappear though. You can this is our contact information. Reach out to us with more questions. Always happy to help. Devin, any other closing thoughts or words?
No, that's it. Thank you very much. And reach out to us for any questions. Perfect. Good luck to all of you.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today.
Bye,
Oh,
everybody.
and please come to we've got 3 more Safe Routes Academy sessions that I think they're going to be excellent. I know the speakers, we've been working hard. These are going to be some really excellent sessions that could also really help you with your grant application. So please plan to join us Thursdays in September for our Lunch and Learn webinars. Thank you so much.